day to everyone. We are the discussants for topic number 3, which is food hygiene, safety, and sanitation. Sanitation. Sanitation, the application of a science to provide wholesome food processed, prepared, merchandised, and sold in a clean environment by healthy workers to prevent contamination with microorganisms that cause foodborne illness and to minimize the proliferation of food spoilage microorganisms. Effective sanitation refers to all the procedures that help accomplish these goals. Safety incidents have common characteristics and include biological, chemical, or physical hazards. They occur throughout the food system and have occurred globally and often result from one or a combination of factors including contaminated raw materials, errors in transportation, processing, preparation, handling or storage, packaging problems, food tampering, malicious contamination, mishandling, changes in formulation or processing, inadequate maintenance of equipment or facilities, addition of incorrect ingredients. Sanitation. Food and Drug Administration regulations, good manufacturing practices, U.S. Department of Agriculture regulations, environmental regulations, Federal Water Pollution Contract Act, Clean Air Act, Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act, and the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act. Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points. Food safety. What is safe food? For consumers, zero risk or hazard. For manufacturers, acceptable risk or hazard. Food safety experts agree, zero risk is not feasible. However, the risk of food poisoning could be reduced from farm to fork. Food safety from farm to table. This is the food safety from farm to table. Safe food handling. 1. To prevent disease. 2. To promote health. And lastly, to make good food better. Food safety. Assurance that food will not cause harm to the consumer when it is prepared and on or eaten according to its intended use. Hazards.
There are 3 types of hazard: the physical, chemical, and biological hazard. Wherein the physical hazard, the example are the hair, dirt, metal staples, and broken glass. While the chemical hazards are the pesticide, food additives, cleaning supplies, and toxic metals. While the biological hazards are the bacteria, viruses, and the parasites. So what is bacteria? Bacteria are causative agents of foodborne illness in cases that require hospitalization. Pathogens are ubiquitous. Intestinal tracts of normal, healthy animals, soil and vegetation, animal waste, human skin surfaces and nasal passages, water supplies contaminated with feces, coastal waters. These features are examples of food handlers as sources of foodborne pathogens. Open cut sores and boils by hands, infected eyes, ears, transit skin microbes, intestinal tract by hands contaminated with feces, food is prepared, food is consumed, illness results, saliva from respiratory tract by coughing and sneezing. Foodborne illness. So what is foodborne illness? An outbreak of foodborne illness is an incident where 2 or more people experience the same illness after eating the same food. An outbreak is confirmed when laboratory analysis shows that specific food is the source of the illness. Foodborne infection, wherein the invasion of multiplication within the body by Salmonella, Campylobacter, E. coli or certain strains, B. parahemoloticus, D. cholerae, Y. enterolotica, A. hydrophila, L. monocytogenes. Foodborne intoxication also include the intoxication due to toxins released in the food by B. cereus, C. botulinum, S. aureus, and the mycotoxin and alpha-toxin.
Potentially hazardous foods or PHF. A food that requires time or temperature control for safety or TCS to limit pathogenic microorganism growth or toxin formation. Potentially hazardous foods like meat, for example, is beef, pork, or lamb, fish, baked or boiled potatoes, milk and milk products, eggshells except those treated to eliminate salmonella, poultry, shellfish, and crustacean. Cooked rice, beans, or other heat-treated plant food, garlic and oil mixtures, sprout and sprout seeds, tofu or other soy protein food, sliced melons, synthetic ingredients such as textured soy protein in meat alternatives. The major foodborne pathogenic microorganism. The pathogen, Salmonella. Its disease is Salmonellosis infection. Food implicated, the poultry salad, meat and meat products, milk, shell eggs, custards, and sauces, other protein foods, fresh fruits, and vegetable. Incubation is 6 to 48 hours. Symptoms: abdominal pain, headache, nausea, vomiting, fever, and diarrhea. Duration is 1 to 2 days. Next one is Clostridium perfringens. And the disease is Clostridium perfringens infection or intoxication. Food implicated: meat products, and gravy coupled with temperature. Incubation is 8 to 22 hours. Symptoms: abdominal pain and diarrhea. And the duration is 24 hours. The next one is Bacillus cereus. The disease is Bacillus cereus intoxication. Food indicated. The food implicated is a wide variety, including rice and rice dishes, custards, seasoning, dry food, mixes, pudding, cereal product sauces, vegetable dishes, meat, milk, and fish. The incubation is 6 to 15 hours. The disease is diarrhea, abdominal cramps, vomiting, and pain. And the duration is up to 24 hours. The next one is Clostridium botulinum. The disease is botulinism intoxication. Food implicated is improperly processed canned low acid food. Food implicated, improperly processed canned low and acid food. Ulit. Food implicated, improperly processed canned low acid food. Incubation 18 to 36 hours. Symptoms: lassitude, weakness, vertigo, double vision, difficulty in speaking, swallowing, and breathing. Duration is several days to a year. Allergen. Cause of allergen contamination. Cross-contamination through inadequate cleaning of equipment used for the manufacture or non-allergen containing products produced after allergen-containing foods. Changing of ingredients without an allergen assessment of the new materials. Use of reworks, formulation errors, incorrect labeling. Allergens. Food Allergy and Anaphylaxis Network or FAAN up to 200 deaths years. 90% of all are caused by Big 8. Milk, eggs, fish, wheat, tree nuts, peanuts, soybeans, crustaceans. Other food ingredients is sulfites and MSG. Components of allergen control: employee education, supplier monitoring, control steps, cleaning, raw material storage, plant layout, color coding of utensils, incorporation of reworks, label review, documentation review or activities, documentation review of activities, evaluation of program effectiveness. Allergen management. Adopt a zero-tolerance protection program against allergen cross-contamination. All personnel should be trained in allergen management strategy. Ensure that incoming ingredients are clearly labeled and the labels are reviewed periodically to confirm that suppliers have not changed ingredients without notice. Develop an allergen storage policy including a procedure for the cleanup of spills. Design equipment to facilitate cleaning and the prevention of allergen harborage nature. Conduct an allergen risk assessment as part of in addition to the HACCP program. Clean between rounds of allergen ingredients. Adopt a comprehensive rework policy including clear identification of working process materials and reworks. Reject in-process materials or finished products suspected of cross-contamination. Review labels before use and confirm that the correct labels are incorporated in the process. Conduct internal audits or use a third-party auditor to assess the allergen management strategy. Evaluate and track consumer complaints including allergen issues and designate a trained person to respond to consumer inquiries regarding allergens. Transfer contamination. Transfer of contamination. Transmission of the causative agent from the environment in which the food is produced, processed or prepared to the food itself. A source and reservoir or transmission for each agent. Transmission of the agent for the source, a transmission of agent from the source to a food. Growth support of the microorganism through the food or host that has been contaminated. Contamination of food. Dairy products, red meat products, poultry products, and seafood products. This is the organizational chart of contamination of food. Other contamination sources: equipment, employees, air and water, sewage, insect and rodents. Protection against contamination. The environment, storage, litter and garbage.
5. How food becomes unsafe. First, purchasing food from unsafe sources. Second, failing to cook food adequately. Third, holding food at improper temperatures. Fourth, using contaminated equipment. Lastly is poor personal hygiene. Cleaning. Table 1, solubility characteristic of various salts. Type of salt: monovalent salts, sugar, fat, and protein. Water insoluble, alkali soluble, water insoluble, slightly acid soluble, and alkali soluble. Removal is easy to difficult, and very difficult. Changes induced by heating the surface. Interaction with other constituents is removable difficulty, fermentation and removable difficulty, polymerization and removable difficulty, deterioration and difficulty in removal. The role of food manager. The food service managers knows the federal, states, and local laws and regulations that pertain to a specific food service operation. Relationship between the prevention of foodborne disease and the personal hygiene of a food service worker. Means to prevent transmission of foodborne disease by a food worker who has a disease or medical condition that may cause foodborne disease. Symptoms associated with the disease that are transmitted through food. Relationship between maintaining the time and temperature
employee health and illness, hygiene practice, example is hand washing, gloves, attire and jewelry, meal planning, receipt development for potential hazardous foods, purchasing, vendor relations, specifications, receiving, temperature, quality standards, and inspection, storage, temperature control, cleaning, inventory rotations, preparation, cooling, time or temperature abuse 4 hours cool, prevention of cross-contaminations, cooling two-stage method, service, meal assembly, hot holding, self-service units, time span and temperature maintenance, handling leftovers, cleaning, sanitation, warewashing, waste disposal, manual washing, machine washing, GIP or equipment, cleaning in place, food contact surface, equipment and utensils, preventive maintenance, repair, temperature measuring device, physical plant, floor, walls, foods, and culinary state, chemical control, MSDS, storage, disposal, pest control, prevention, service contracts, miscellaneous, ice handling, food safety systems. First, agricultural practices or GMP. Second, good manufacturing, hygienic practices or GMP and GHP. Third, hazard analysis and critical crowd points or HACCP. This is the food safety system. First, proper personal hygiene program, proper facility design program, supplier selection and specification programs, proper cleaning and sanitation programs, appropriate equipment maintenance programs, and food safety training program. This is how to keep food safe from bacteria.
And personal hygiene. How food handlers contaminate food. Scratching the scalp, running fingers through hair, wiping or touching the nose, touching a pimple or an open sore, wearing dirty uniforms, coughing or sneezing, spitting in the establishment. Simple personal hygiene program. Maintaining personal cleanliness, proper work attire, following hygienic hand practices. This is the proper hand washing procedure. The first step is wet hands and brush. The second is soap brush. And the third is brush and lather. The fourth is rinse. And the next is soap hands and lather. And the last is rinse. And this is the germs that usually in your hands. It shows that the acceptable hand washing station that should have hand washing sandwich, disposable towels, soap, hot and cold water, waste container, and warm air dryer. And this picture shows that when to wash your hands. And this picture shows the hand care for the food handlers.
Glove use. Glove must never be used in place of hand washing. Change gloves as soon as they become soiled or torn. Before beginning a different task, at least every 4 hours during routine or use. This is how to clean and sanitize equipment. Step 1 is rinse, scrape, or soap. Step 2 is wash. Step 3, rinse. Step 4, sanitize. And step 5, air clean. Avoiding cross-contamination. Use one cutting board for fresh produce and a separate board for meat, fish, and poultry. Set criteria for acceptance of raw and cooked ingredients. And this is the accept and this is the reject. This is the cold foods safely. Storing food safely. Potentially hazardous, ready-to-eat foods prepared in-house can be stored at a maximum of 7 days at 4 degrees Celsius. In the stove for frozen food safely. foods to proper temperature. Poultry is 74 degrees Celsius, ground meats 68 degrees Celsius, pork, beef, lamb is 63 degrees Celsius, and fish 63 minus 74 degrees Celsius, and the leftovers 74 degrees Celsius. Holding food safely. In the absence of proper heat code, holding discard food 4 hours after display. This is how to serving food safely. The right wrong. The future. Safe food is a moving target. The problem is never solved completely because change is a constant. In the meantime,
So that is all for the topic number 3, food hygiene, safety, and sanitation. I hope you learned something from the discussants.